everybody.
Sean and Kelly here, Price and Price Group of Samson Properties. And what are we talking about?
Today we're talking about what even is an off-market listing and why would we want it, why wouldn't we want it, and all of that.
Okay, let's dive into it. Here we go. Okay, so we had another question / suggestion from a listener or a watcher of our videos. And they asked a great question, and they had recently read an article in the Wall Street Journal regarding off-market listing, or what they call office exclusive listings.
Yeah.
So
this is different than a FSBO, right? Or
yeah.
for sale by owner, which is also off-market, but this is listed by an agent instead of by the owner.
Yep. So we're going to deep dive into this, into what it is, how it works, and why would a seller choose this. And so we're going to look at all the details.
Okay, so first of all, I think getting it very, very out there first, there is an official agreement signed, right?
Yes.
You are entering into a contract with a brokerage.
Yep. It's a listing agreement with an agent.
Yes.
And the key to this is it's just like any other listing agreement. And the rules are, and correct me if I'm wrong, these timelines kind of throw me off sometimes. She's the one that keeps us straight. The timelines are as soon as we have a signed listing agreement, the effective date of that listing agreement, the agreement and the property have to be put into the multiple listing service within 48 hours of that signed agreement. That's whether it's going to be an office exclusive or whether it's going to be a traditional publicly marketed property. So all properties, when signing a listing agreement, all properties have to go into the multiple listing service. They just don't all necessarily go public.
That's exactly right. It's within 48 hours. And that's even like, let's say you're my seller and I'm your agent. And you say, well, okay, I'm going to sign this agreement with you on November 9th, but I don't want to list it until December 1.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
That's what you mean. I don't want to list it. Well, you've signed the agreement today. So technically we have a listing agreement.
Yeah.
So we have to notify the multiple listing service of that within 48 hours. But the way we get away from publicly marketing that is with the next form that comes with the office exclusive. So if you'll talk about that.
So there's an office exclusive form that the seller has to sign, and basically they have to check off on several points. Something explaining like, they're going to have reduced market exposure because they're not going to be publicly listed on the multiple listing service. They understand that this property can only be marketed to the agent's specific brokerage, and the various limitations of what an off-market listing has. So when they sign that agreement, it is going to get them reduced market exposure.
That's exactly right. It's like it wants to be very, very clear in letting you know this. You can't expect the same kind of
turnout and traffic,
right? That you would expect on the multiple listing service.
So and we always preach, especially when we're talking to sellers.
We always preach.
Always preach. Supply and demand, that's what determines prices. So if you have more demand than you have for supply for your house, basically you have more buyers interested in your house, you tend to get a higher price. Right. So why would a buyer or seller choose to use this? Well, the first thing to clarify is the brokerage that if you're doing an office exclusive listing, the brokerage that you choose for this is very, 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 very critical.
Well, this kind of goes into another idea I had for a video, which is, why so many brokerages and why is the brokerage important? And you're touching on it right now, so I'm not going to get long-winded about it. But the reason we moved to this brokerage, trust me, has so much to do with what you're talking about right now. So compare it to the brokerages we were with before, right? It was nationwide, huge. Everybody knows it. But tell me why that wasn't sufficient, and then we'll go into why this was.
So there are nationwide brokerages that are they're huge. They're just nationwide. Some are even worldwide. Okay, and they have fantastic number of agents that work for them. But the key is when you are looking at an office exclusive, the only agents that this property can be marketed to are the agents that are in your listing agent specific brokerage. So for example,
they're still individually owned.
Right. So there are multiple franchises. I don't want to name any specifically, but if you look at most of the national brands, they're individual franchises. So there might be one that's a McLean branch, and there might be a Chantilly branch, and there might be a Metro branch. All those branches have agents specifically to that branch, and usually it's between 150 to 350 agents.
So the agent eyes And then their buyer's eyes who are on that office exclusive listing is a lot smaller than you would think.
Yeah, so you just because you're with a national brand doesn't mean that that national brand is giving you national exposure. You're getting exposure to that specific office. So there may be let's just say 300 agents in that, and that's a large.
That's a large.
That's
a large one.
Yeah.
So compare that to ours,
so
and
the-
a big reason we moved here.
The brokerage that we're with is Sampson Properties, and they are one brokerage. They're not a franchise. It's not each office is individually
People in
owned.
different states are probably like, who?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, because it's a local brokerage.
Yeah.
But we have 6,000 agents. So when you do an office
in right here in the area
in
where
the
you're
DMV,
shopping, when you're
yes.
shopping and you're selling
Yep.
right here in our area, we have like
Yeah,
that many
and I've
agents.
heard the number that we have 14% of the market share with regards to agents. So if you do an office exclusive with an agent that's with a brokerage that has 300 agents, or you do it with somebody who has 6,000 agents, and we have a software system that we can actually put that out to all 6,000 agents.
Yeah, it's like a little mini multiple listing service within our brokerage.
Yep.
So and we do there's a lot going on that other agents in the area are not a part of.
Yep.
And so the agents that you need to work with, it's going to be specific to your type of property, right, where you're located and your price point. So let's say, okay, if you like to bouge out like I do sometimes, you're like, ooh, I want to go with the fancy ones that have like the premier luxe properties. But if I'm only and I say only just for our area, if I'm only selling a house that's like $1.25 million, I don't need to really be with an agent who's listing in the $5+ million price range, because a lot of the agents within their brokerage, their buyers are really not looking down in the $1.25 million. And that sounds dumb to say down in the 1.25, but that's the area, right?
And with that said, our brokerage, we have up to 14 million in listing, like price point.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of cover all of it.
Yeah,
right?
we cover all of it. Yeah, So long story short, for most sellers, 99% in my opinion, it's better to go on the open market so you can get all the information. But there are strategic ways to go off market, and most of our sellers do go off market for a period. They go not off market, office exclusive for a period.
Right.
So they'll sign that agreement for a short period of time, and then we take them to the market. So
okay, and so some of the ways this looks, right, is whenever you're in that little window, if it's only a window of office exclusivity, is you're not going to be public facing, like we've said.
Right.
You won't have signs.
Right. Yeah, there's no signage. You can't put signs in the yard. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not going to be fed into any of the like Zillow.
Yep, it's not going to be on the multiple listing service, so no agents outside of our brokerage would see it. It's not going to go to Zillow, Realtor.com, Real Scout, any of these third-party websites.
We wouldn't even be allowed to tell anyone outside of our brokerage about it. Okay, so that's a big thing too.
That's right. Yeah, we all have connections and interactions with agents from all different brokerages, but we cannot tell them about these office exclusive listings.
Right, that's true.
Yeah. There's
we could wink.
Yeah.
Do you have anything this price point?
That's
like,
right. But we can't tell you what it is.
You'd have to find
we
it.
do,
You have to wait.
You cannot put it on social media. It cannot be advertised on social media. It can't be put. You can't put together an individual address website and put it out. I mean, you cannot do any public marketing.
All the things that we do for our sellers,
yes.
we well, most of them, we wouldn't be able to do that.
That's right. That's right. You can't hold open houses. Now, there's a caveat to that. We could hold open houses to our agents in our brokerage, let them know, hey, we're holding this house open, but there could be no signage on the property letting them know that.
Yeah, we'd have to have a bouncer at the door being like,
are you Sam? Show us your card. It's okay. I'm a realtor.
Okay, so why
and one more thing that we do, you couldn't even prospect for it. I couldn't go out and do cold calls trying to find buyers for this property, because I would be prospecting for a property that's a publicly facing property. You can't share the address.
You can't share the address,
no.
But don't you have?
Well,
you have a book of buyers who are.
That's a good point. So if
I knew it.
If I was prospecting and if I found a buyer and I used general terms, and I found a buyer that was interested in, let's say, a 3-bedroom, 4-bath in Arlington, then I could talk to that buyer, do a buyer presentation with them, get a buyer broker agreement signed, and then be able to show them that property, because now they're a client.
No, because we don't do dual representation.
We would
not do that.
Oh, that's
you
right.
would refer them to someone else, because if it's intra-office,
I would refer them to an.
You know what? Your brain's
department.
Just getting all tangled up.
This
in
is the legal department.
It's fine.
But yes, so there's ways that we can do that.
Intra-office.
Intra office. Inter, not intra.
Intra.
No, intra. Inter.
Intra.
Inter.
Inter office is within other offices.
It's
Intra
intra.
office is within. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, because I would
Is
be
it
very
inter or
embarrassed.
intra? Well, it is interstate, and they
Yeah,
go
so
from
it's
state to state. It's from
intra-office.
intra-office. That's what I said. Play it back. All right.
Okay, so why would you do this? Who would this appeal to? People who want discretion?
Yeah.
Is one?
Yeah, so somebody who maybe is high profile or
I get that like all the
yeah,
time.
I know.
would
You don't
never
ever want.
want-
We sell properties all the time. So someone who's
Everybody knows who I am.
yeah, someone who's high profile doesn't want people to know they're selling, or somebody who we've done this with some of our clients where they don't want signs of the yard because they don't want the neighbors to know they're selling. They don't
Yeah,
want to
that's
kind
true.
of stir it up. So you can do it for that reason where you would have
Mhm.
discretion.
Also, if you're testing the market, that
yeah,
would
that's
be
option
another
number
reason.
two. Now the gentleman that actually sent us the email regarding this, he had considered doing an off-market office exclusive listing for his property because there's some unique qualities to his property, and he wanted to see what those qualities would do to the price point and if it would be worth selling without putting it out there publicly and exposing the
Yeah,
situation.
because it's almost like once you do it publicly, it's written in Sharpie marker.
It is.
Instead of like.
If you find out the
pencil.
price point doesn't work
Yeah,
and you
you
bring
wanna
it down,
pencil it
people
in
start.
for a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And
Yes.
for him, I think it's a really good idea.
Yep. So you can test the market, and that's what we do when we're doing our office exclusives prior to going on the market. We're testing the price point, and we're seeing what the interest level is within our brokerage, our 6,000 agents at a given price point. We can gauge that interest doing
You
that.
have an example for us, right?
What I just did. That was a
you did that. I thought you were going to be way more in depth.
No, I'm not going to go into his
I like
personal.
it when you get like that. Okay,
No,
well, that was fun.
but if you have like a unique situation, or let's say you're considering doing a remodel. Here's an example in your wheelhouse. Let's say you're considering doing a remodel, and you're like, okay, it's going to cost me $100,000 to this remodel. I know that when this house is remodeled, it's going to be worth 1.2 million. How much could I get for this property without doing the remodel? Maybe it's not worth that $100,000 return. So then you do an office exclusive, you let it be marketed intra-office, and then you get offers coming in at, let's say, what did I say, 120 or 1.2? You get offers coming in at 1.15. It's $50,000 difference. Why put $100,000 in when you can? Yeah. So the net is much better. So
especially when your eye found some other twinkly, sparkly little property in that street, and you're ready to you're a little bit more inspired.
That's
with that
right.
one than you are with your.
That's right. So there's a lot of market testing that you can do.
We need to add that to the list of our handyman.
Yeah. Oh, nail pops.
Okay.
We'll talk to her about that. Yeah, so that's another way you could kind of just test the market and test the price point. And then the third way is control over the process. So what do we mean by that? Well, some people, number one, they just don't want to prepare the house. They don't want to clean it up. They don't want to do any rehab or remodel.
Man. It's tough.
Yeah,
especially when you're navigating a family and pets and everything. It's not an easy thing to start doing.
Yep. And they don't want to put it out there publicly because they don't want a whole lot of traffic coming through the house. So they get more control over how
really
much traffic
with COVID too.
Yeah, it was. How much traffic is coming through the property, and then the other thing that gives you control over is the type of buyers that are touring the property. So if you
alert,
qualification,
ethical alert,
qualification wise, the type being, are they pre-approved? Do they have the funds? You can go through an entire, like, I want to see proof of funds. I want to see their pre-approval letter. I want to know that, you know, as much as I can about each buyer before they come into my house. You can do that when you have an office exclusive because they're only coming in through your agent versus setting up showings on the computer and going through and having free reign of the house. I know you were scared. So basically, it's going to limit your exposure. It's not the right thing for most sellers, but in a unique situation where they want to have control, keep it more private, decreased volume might be something that they want. They really don't care about.
In my thinking parts.
Your thinking parts. Oh, goodness. Yeah. Okay. So what do you think?
I think every seller should do this. I think if I had to write a strategic plan that I knew that you wouldn't tweak and alter and edit, it would always incorporate at least 7 days.
Oh, 100%.
Off market before we do anything. At least 7 days.
100%.
I would prefer to have 14 days.
Yeah, 100% to do the testing.
So you say it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
They guarantee you it should be.
I stand corrected. It is for everyone in the beginning of their process, but it's not the only sales process for everyone. You're going to limit your exposure, and you're not going to get.
That's right.
Yeah,
Sweet cheese.
yeah. You have to do the back office logistics to make sure your pricing is right, to make sure your preparation is correct before you put it out there publicly.
Now, it's not for every brokerage to do, because then what's the point?
Got to pick your brokerage. That's right. You pick a brokerage that has 20 agents, it's a waste of time.
If you're with us or our brokerage,
yeah,
then everybody needs to do it, because then, the market changes swiftly, right?
Yeah.
Within the 7 days, which is why you do the market report all the time.
Yep.
So a lot of times the price point, it's like that can change, and this is a great little tester to be like, oh, are we tweaking it by?
Yep.
Even a tweak of $5,000 to $10,000 can be the difference in like 10 showings in your first live week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
It's so smart. Like
that was brilliant. Yes, it's like.
It's got to be the new logo.
You look smart.
Everyone.
Yeah, see our new logo.
We've moved into my own office. Sean kicked me out, so I'm like, I'm going to put a logo on my wall.
So now it's our studio. All right. Okay. Hopefully this explains it. If you guys have any questions, I know this is a little bit of a circular conversation, it feels like, but if you guys have any questions, please feel free to let us know.
It was perfectly linear.
Well, there we go. Okay. All right. We'll see you guys on next week's video.
Bye.